today I'll be talking on this term. So the story will be like I'll be discussing innovation, I'll be discussing entrepreneurship, and I'll be taking few example of sustainable development whereby we can improve upon the current grim situation prevailing over the world. So now the first slide is in a statement of your ex-president Dr. Abdul Kalam. So India is marching forward. In that particular article, Dr. Kalam has written that why is the media here so negative? He was talking about the current prevalent situation in India, and he said that why the media in India is so negative. Why are we in India so embarrassed to recognize our own strength, our own achievements? We are such a great nation. We have so many amazing success stories, but we refuse to acknowledge them. Why? In India, we only read about death, sickness, terrorism, crime. Why are we so negative? We have seen that a lot of negativity is still spread throughout the country. People doesn't talk about the positivity. They always point a finger, whatever little negative they could observe. Another question he asked, why are we as a nation so obsessed with the foreign things? We want foreign technology. Why this obsession with everything imported? Do we know? Do we not realize that self-respect comes with self-reliance? So Professor Kalam finally says, I'm echoing Jeff Kennedy's words to his fellow Americans to relate to Indians. The Kennedy simply asked American in 1960-65 that do whatever is required for the country to make US the great nation of the world. Similarly, Kalam is saying that he's asking to Indians, ask what we can do for India and do what has to be done to make India what America and other Western countries are now. So basically, in place of being obsessed with everything foreign, why not we are trying to manufacture, trying to produce everything in India? And our Honorable Prime Minister has seen this particular dream, and from 2014 onward, he has started working on that, and we are happy to note that considerable progress in this direction has been made. Another important lecture I want to quote here was that of Raghunanth Anant Maselkar, R.A. Maselkar. This particular lecture was given by Maselkar Sahab during 2001 Pune Science Congress. So in this particular Congress, Dr. Maselkar told that if we are interested in making India as dreamt by Abdul Kalam, our ex-president, we should follow the Panchshila of New Millennium. We have heard about number of Panchshils, but this one is the Panchshila of New Millennium, 21वीं सदी का Panchshil. So he says that if you want to see India as one of the developed nation by 2020, 2025 or whatever, because now we are sitting in 2021. And Kalam Sahib dreamt that by 2020, India will be one of the most developed nation. We have not reached to that state, but yes, we can say that we are on the right path. We are progressing, however it is slow. So this Panchshila of New Millennium says that we have to completely overhaul the education system of India. He says that education should be student-centric. Then only student will learn what exactly is required to get knowledge to enter into society and to improve upon the society. And what we have seen that due to the Lord Macaulay, even during British period, the situation has changed drastically, and our educational institutions are meant for only becoming kind of officials, clerks, etc. We are not producing leaders. So if we the teachers, onus lies on we teachers and policy planners to create such a situation where education can become an entertaining thing, can attract the student. The classroom atmosphere can become one of the best atmospheres so that student can reach to that place. What exactly is happening today? Only students are entering into the class only for the attendance. So there is some problem, and we have to solve that. And as far as policy is concerned, the new education policy has been placed last year, and today 1 year has just passed. Today afternoon, our Prime Minister Modi ji is addressing the nation, and we academician to understand how we can progress or how can we improve upon our education system by implementing properly the new education policy. So first change required is that we have to innovate into the educational system of the country. The second point he says that woman-centered family. The family should be woman-centric. Why he says? Because this country having population of 135 crore can only progress when every stakeholder will participate into the process of development. What has happened 20 years back that only emphasis was on the male child education and female were left behind. So how we can dream of becoming one of the most developed nation when we will be leaving half of the population unattended? And that is why he said that women, the ladies, the female should be given proper participation into every step of development, and that starts with education and ends with the management or development of the nation. And we have seen that the ladies have been one of the good manager. Our homes are beautifully managed by our mothers, and even today if you see Kiran Saha Majmudar is there, Indira Nui is there are n number of examples. Srimati Indira Gandhi was there, Margaret Thatcher was there. So these are the ladies who have proved time and again that they should certainly be party to the development. So what we are supposed to do, first change the education system, second change the mindset and give the proper representation to the female and the weaker section of society. Third, he says that we can move on progress path only when the society will be the knowledge centric. This is the information era. On the single click on the Google, we find a number of information, whatever required. But processing of information and converting into the knowledge is the basic job which is required, and that can only be done when the knowledge creator, the scientists, the teachers will be given proper respect. And what is happening in the society that we are not giving proper respect to the teacher and scientist, but we are giving respect to either politician or the mafia or the money. So that mindset is also required to change. Fourth point, he says, development should be human-centric. Whatever we talk about the cloud computing, whatever you talk about the complete automation, but every educated person, every Indian citizen should get education, and every educated person or skilled person or unskilled person or semi-skilled person should get, some participation into development through their employment. If you will not be providing proper employment to our citizen, that will be detrimental, because the depressed, unsatisfied citizen never becomes, party to the development, and that is very bad. And final point, he says that India should be innovation centric. Means India can only move ahead when we will set this punch seal of new millennium. Now the second thing, how to convert this population burden to human resource. That is the biggest challenge. Because what is happening when I'm talking to any bureaucrat or I'm talking to any politician, why the country is not progressing as desired or as planned, they generally say that we do have immense population burden, and that is why every policy fails and that policy is not properly being implemented. So now the greatest challenge to the policy planners and to we educator or academicians is how to convert this population burden to human resource. So these are the few points which are very much required to make everybody intelligent enough, to make everybody skilled enough to understand the need of the nation and to help the nation to move ahead. So first topic is scientific observation. So this is the need of our that everybody should inculcate the scientific observation, because we know that there are three kinds of observation. One is subjective observation, second one is objective observation, and third one is scientific observation. So what is happening that from our childhood, we have been taught that whatever you see or whatever you hear, only you believe that one. You should not believe anything which you have not seen or you have not heard from your own ear. And that is why our majority of decision is based upon our subjective observation. And in majority of times we failed. And we are failing because whatever we are seeing or whatever we are hearing, that is That depends upon our, our own brain. And our own brain, our own thinking process is not at all unbiased. This is but biased. This is, this has been created under a certain condition, certain genetic condition or certain environmental condition. So the better one is that objective is better than subjective. What is objective? Means when 10 people are observing something and 7 say that this is right, that is right. Like democracy, that sometimes we go for Congress and sometimes we go for BJP. But that is also not the best kind of observation, because number of times we have been swayed by popular, belief, and we are not taking right kind of decision. So best kind of decision can be taken when we will be inculcating the scientific observation. So how scientific observation will be done? So this is done when we start synthesizing and dissecting the things, like doing experiment in the laboratory. Okay, it's a kind of onion layer model. When you go deep within the problem, try to analyze what exactly the crux of the problem, and then come out with solving the problem. So this is the most important property our youngsters, our students, our teachers should inculcate. That is, in place of subjective observation, they should go and try to learn how to observe scientifically. Second point is self-exploration. Try to explore your own personality. What exactly are your positive attributes? What are your negative attributes? What are the challenges to your personality? You just try to find out. And that can only be done when you sit down in the evening, 5 minutes, meditate, and try to see what has gone wrong in the whole of the day process, or what has gone right, and what was the reason behind that. And if you are doing that right from your childhood, you'll be able to understand what are your positive characteristics of your personality and what are the negative characteristics of your personality. And this is the way to improve upon your personality. Third one is motivation. And motivation is the most important. Until and unless you are motivated, you will not be doing anything. So what is motivation? Motivation is combination of need, drive, and goal. So this is a cyclic process. That is, need arises into our body, and that need drives us towards certain behavior. And when we reach to our goal, that can die, that particular drive. But there should always be some drive into our personality, then only we continuously compete into the society. So we have to think about those needs which are not physical need. I'm not talking about the physical need, that is hunger, thirst, or bread and butter, or the housing. That kind of need I'm not discussing today. I'm discussing about those needs which are known as psychological need, advanced need, or sociological need. Means need of actualization, need of autonomy, need of achievement, need of power. These are the characteristics which we should certainly try to understand. The worst one is the need of power. This is the society where everybody runs after about the position, about the money, about the kind of clout. But need of power is generally taken into the wrong sense. Higher degree of need of power means there is some problem into your personality. If you want to become as a successful entrepreneur, or if you want to become a successful teacher, you should have lower degree of power. The persons having high degree of power, generally, even if they goes to play football, they try to win by hook or crook, by even trying to break the leg of the goalkeeper. So we should not do that. We'll try to win the game, but through our practice, through our hard work, and that is known as need of achievement. So what is need of achievement? Need of achievement is nothing but to understand our own personality, to understand our own education. Based upon our personality, traits, and education, we'll be selecting the occasion, the goal, the destiny, and then slowly move on that particular path. So we should try to improve upon our degree of need of achievement, and we should try to decrease the degree of need of power if you want to become a successful entrepreneur. So Sometimes people ask me, so how much minimum degree of leader power we should have? That is very right kind of question, because how much we should reduce our degree of leader power? The answer is, जब आपके गाल पर कोई एक झापड़ मारे तो आप उसको दूसरा गाल ना दें, उसे कहें कि जहां मेरी नाक शुरू होती है वहां आपकी सीमा खत्म हो जाती है. That kind of self confidence should be there into you, so that you should not be exploited by others, but you should not exploit others. That is the NIDA achievement. Then NIDA autonomy says the persons having higher degree of NIDA autonomy are those who are artists, who are scientists, who are who can be good teacher, who can be good scientist, who can be good entrepreneur. And the final one is the need of self-actualization. This is Maslow need hierarchy theory, and I'm not discussing in detail today. Otherwise, motivation is itself, full classroom lecture, full 1 hour lecture, I can say. So, need of self-actualization is the sense of fulfillment into the person that I have done whatever I could. And so this is the modification acquired need. Means we have to improve upon our needs as per the goal chosen by us. And then next one is activation theory and job enlargement. What activation theory says? That man in its environment loves variety and stimulation. If there is no variety, if there is no stimulation into your work environment, you will not be motivated enough to cruise or to reach to their higher goals. And that is why the persons having larger capacity to certainly go for that kind of job where a lot of variety and stimulation is there. And what is job enlargement? That is selection of job based upon our characteristic and the job difficulties. If you will be selecting very simple job, you will be losing your motivation. And if you will be selecting very difficult job as per your personality, that will create a lot of stress into personality, and finally again you will demotivated. So we have to optimize between these two, that is higher difficulty level job and very lower difficulty level job. So the optimization depends on the characteristic of the personality. And then the leadership. There are n number of kind of leadership, like laissez-faire leader, autocratic leader, benevolent autocratic leader. But the best possible leadership required in industry or organization is democratic leader, wherein even the goal of the team is jointly decided and the credit is jointly taken for any success. So that kind of leadership is required in today's industry, or in today's business scenario, or in today's entrepreneurship scenario. So again, let me ask, things are clear till this slide? Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, clearly audible.
Okay. So after a while, after 5 to 10 minutes, I can ask. So someone of you please respond. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, how to promote or train the youth? That is the point. And there is a very famous, story that one little girl saw a cocoon and she was watching it for many hours, and the butterfly inside was struggling to come out. Then it got stuck. Wanting to help the butterfly, she cut open the cocoon and freed the butterfly. But alas, it could not fly and it never would. The butterfly struggled to get through the small opening. Is nature's way of forcing fluid from the body to its wing so it would be ready for flight. So what this particular slide says, that while we are training our youths, we should be very cautious. We should not help them in a wrong way, otherwise their personality will be destroyed and they will not be able to become successful into the society. So what happened next day, that the same girl was sitting, standing again, and she again saw a struggle of another butterfly to come out from her cocoon. But this time she has not done wrong by cutting open the cocoon, because she has experienced the failure of her wrong help to the butterfly. So instead, she was standing there and started shouting and yelling, "Come up, be careful, don't get hurt, keep it up. No, no, yes, yes, prepare a good plan, good strategy." And finally, the butterfly came out and started flying beautifully. She was in laughter and tears. The butterfly came, sat on her shoulder, and said, "Thank you. I became a butterfly only because of you." You just see, whenever a student of yours come back from industry or come back from any European nation and meets you, and if he says that whatever I'm today, you are also a party to that. You are the reason behind that. And that is the greatest incentive to any teacher. And again, this is a teacher relation between teacher and student, or trainer and trainee. The story says that two co-travelers are lost in the desert. They are dying from hunger and thirst. Finally, they come to a high wall on the other side. They can hear the sound of a waterfall and birds singing. Above they can see the branches of a lusk tree standing over the top of the wall. Its fruit look delicious. One of them manages to climb over the wall and disappears down the other side. The other instead return to the desert to help other lost travelers find their way to the oasis. This is nothing but the relationship between teacher and student, a trainer and trainee. Every year new batches comes and we train them with the same zeal, same devotion, and finally they succeed, and we again come back and prepare ourselves to train another phase batch. So that is the story that goes. So what is the next question is that potential to become successful entrepreneur, whether it is with everybody or whether this is available with only few, select one. So what I say that all of us have potential to become an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur. Degree might differ. It is just a matter of developing that potential. If we properly assess our personality through self-exploration, through scientific observation, through introspection, and we properly select our goal, we can certainly become successful person and successful entrepreneur. So what is the characteristic of a successful entrepreneur? That is the question now. So there are these 5 characteristics which are the major personality traits of any successful entrepreneur. 1, he should have high degree of motivation. He should initiate when he finalizes his decision. He should not wait endlessly. Otherwise, somewhere somebody might be thinking the same and he can start and take the initial advantage. He should be able to organize the resources. He should be able to take the risk. And the final and the most important is he should understand what exactly the innovation and how the innovation is blended into his work and his philosophy, his organization. So sometimes people ask me, what exactly the innovation? Innovation is nothing but putting right thing at right place. Innovation is thinking out of box. Innovation is nothing but it is commercialization of any invention. So we know that whatever little modification we do into any kind of application of engineering processes, if that fetches us money, that fetches us efficiency, all this can be categorized as innovation. So we should have the motivation. We should try it always, dream. We should always try to work. We should try to work in a team. We should move hand in hand. All this is required to become a successful person. And if you have identified your opportunity based upon your personality traits and your education and your experience, you have to initiate it as early as fast. And whatever you do, you need resources for that. Even today, if a particular FDP is being organized, the organizer has to connect with number of resource persons. They have to connect with trainees. They have to arrange for proper dissemination of knowledge. So whatever you do, you need, organizing our resources. And if you go for better things, newer things, innovative things, you have to take the risk. But what kind of risk is required? It's not that you are going to, do something in blind. You do understand the things. You have analyzed the circumstances. You understand your potential. You might have not moved into the same path, but do understand the nitty and gritty. And whatever you do, there are chances of failures, but you can improve upon your chances of success based upon your education, experience, knowledge. So you should be ready to take the risk. And finally, what I say is that success depends mainly what kind of innovation you are doing. And there are examples. I do remember in our childhood, Nirma was a powder, detergent powder. Before that, we have never heard about any detergent other than the surf. And the poor people, our middle class people, were using Sunlight, Pama Bar Sabun, are using sand for cleaning their clothes. But this particular businessman could come up with the idea that everybody loves to put good, clothes, clean clothes. And that is why he come up with a cheaper alternative to surf. So creating a cheaper alternative or identifying a niche market is also a kind of innovation. If you talk about the type of organizations, in India, organizations become transparent when we started adopting the Japanese kind of organization in place of British kind of organization, which was a tight, compact, kind of organization, tight compartment organization. And then we moved to the Japanese organization, which was very transparent. And in an organization, even CMD can, even a junior trainee can can have an eye contact with his MD level boss, because everybody is having, cubicles, not great palatial offices. So these kind of innovation can take place. And if I talk about the industry and processes, you can innovate in the raw material, you can innovate in the methodology, you can innovate into the marketing. So there are n number of, kind of innovation which can be incorporated. So please initiate as fast as possible. And it says that dawn does not come twice to awaken the man. If you are not taking right kind of decision at right time, you might not succeed. So please take right decision at right time. And this is a very famous story. Even if you are on the right track, you will get run over if you just sit there, old Roger. There is this famous story about rabbit and tortoise, the race. And initially what happened, that due to the overconfidence, rabbit slapped and tortoise won the race. But then rabbit realized his mistake and then come back and talk to tortoise and said, we will again go for the race. And the second time the race was organized, obviously rabbit won, because now he was cautious. Then tortoise again came to him and said, no, we'll go for best of three. And what happened this time? This tortoise has chosen a path, the race track, where there was a land, then there was a river, and then there was again land. So what happened? Initially, rabbit ran very fast, reached to the bank of the river, but as soon as he saw the water, he sat down there. He could not do anything. Tortoise slowly came, swam across the river, and won the race. So what exactly the learning of the story? Learning is that this is the era of cooperative competence. Everybody is having different kind of trait set into his personality. And this is the right time when we choose our companion, our team member, having entirely different set of characteristics. हम दोस्त एकदम अपने जैसे न बनाए, बल्कि दोस्त ऐसे बनाए जो हमसे अलग हो. Then only will succeed. And then it is said that success is not achieved by contented people. सफलता उनको नहीं मिलती जो बहुत आसानी से संतुष्ट हो जाते हैं. Because if you want to succeed, you have to keep on increasing the difficulty level. You have to keep on increasing the level of your goal. So always there will be a kind of dissatisfaction, always a kind of drive left within you, and always be working to get your goal. Otherwise, if you are easily satisfied, Banaras is the best example, my own place, where we say that Chana Chavena Gangajal जो पूर्वे करतार काशी का बहु न छोड़िए विश्वनाथ दरबार. बस खाने के लिए चना मिल जाए, चना छबेना, पीने के लिए गंगा जल और दर्शन करने के लिए विश्वनाथ जी, तो हमें और क्या चाहिए? But that is not right for the youths of today. Because if you want to get progress, we have to continuously put our energy and try to attain higher and higher goal. So what is innovation? I have already discussed that process of commercialization of invention is innovation. Steam as a source of energy invented in 1800, but in 1712 it was used to run engine. Process was called innovative. Innovation is introduction of newness or novelty. In context of enterprise, novelty may take any one or a combination of the following: new product, new method of production, new market, new source of raw material, new organization. The act of innovation thus provides resources with a new capacity to create wealth. So don't tell your God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big your God is. Whenever you are going to do a new thing, an innovative thing, there might be problems. Just a minute, I'll be taking a phone. Okay. So it says that don't tell your God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big your God is. What happens whenever we face problems, we run around and meet various people and try to share our problems, but nobody of them helps us, and majority of them are laughing at us. So what we should do? We should try to be confident enough and should try to understand that if God is everywhere, He might be there within me. And any problem cannot be larger than life. So if try to say, Aham Brahmasmi, that is the solution to maintain your confidence. It says that in difficult moment, behave like a duck, keep calm and unruffled on the surface, but keep paddling away like crazy underneath. जब भी आप समस्या में हो, आप ऊपर से दुखी न दिखें, अंदर संघर्ष हो, लेकिन हर समय उससे बाहर निकलने की हमें कोशिश करनी होगी. So now I can say that enterprise is within yourself. What you are supposed to do: pursue your loved opportunity, enjoy the struggle to achieve your goal, develop the skill set which is required, and opportunity is in what you can do the best. If I can teach in a better way, I should certainly try to become the teacher. If I can sit down continuously 10 hours in the laboratory, I will become a good scientist. So that depends upon your personality, what kind of personality you are having. If you are having greater communication skill, you are having good marketing capability, you certainly go and try your hand in the business. If you are trying for anything, you have to set your target. What do you want to achieve? What should be the time frame? What should be the activities? What should be the team? What are the finances required? And whenever you set the target, there will be hurdles. So if you are going for any kind of entrepreneurial opportunity, creating a kind of business or industry, there will be competition in terms of quality, service, distribution, advertisement. There may be a number of options. There may be competition of prices. So you have to cross all these hurdles. And what are the ways to cross the hurdle? Your attitude, your planning, and your strategy. You carefully see the picture. A number of German shepherds are sitting there, and this small kitten is moving very confidently. So they might be Birla, Dalmia, Ambani, Adani, Tata, and I myself is, one of the greater creation of the God. That should be our confidence. Generally, people say that enjoy your game, whether you win or lose, continue playing and enjoying life is a passage. But for a successful entrepreneur, that is never true. The truth is, whenever you say that is not whether you win or lose, that counts, probably you lost. You know, mere uttering the word loss can give us loss. So never think of losing, always think of winning. Now, I'll be moving with few examples of sustainable development. How much time is left with me? Dave.
Sir, about 45 minutes.
There are 45 minutes more, na?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be discussing around half an hour, and then we can take some questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So till now, I have discussed about innovation, entrepreneurship, and the personality traits which is required to become a successful entrepreneur. We have also discussed the current Indian scenario, thought of Maselkar Sahib and thought of Kalamji to improve upon the current Indian scenario. Now I have said that whether I'm talking about the manufacturing sector, whether I'm talking about the processing sector, whether I'm talking about the general societal condition, the greatest challenge we are facing is climate change. So if I'm entering into the entrepreneurship era, this is my responsibility to go for sustainable development or go for green processes. So now these three questions I generally ask when I talk to our students. First question is, how many times a healthy human breathe in a day? So what is the reason of asking this question? Because we should understand how much oxygen we are consuming. Then we can understand what is the use of the trees, what is the use of jungle, what is the use of forest. And in current pandemic situation, we might have now fully understood the importance of oxygen, that particular commodity. Every day we are using 550 liters of oxygen. So suppose if we are supposed to pay for that for whole family, how much we should earn? Whether it is possible, it is feasible. And suppose on the same day, cylinder of two of us is empty, either mine or my wife, which one will be preferred to purchase? The kind of problem in front of us. And we are seeing the day by day the climate is deteriorating. So that day is not far when we have to purchase oxygen. Second one is, do you know that grain equivalent to 2 crore people is being consumed by the rats alone in Mumbai? क्या आपको पता है कि 2 करोड़ लोगों का खाना केवल बंबई जैसे शहर में चूहे खा जाते हैं? Why am I asking this question? We generally say that our farmers are poor. We do have a lot of population. Even our poor farmers are producing so much that is sufficient enough to feed 400 crores people, not 135. But what is the problem? We the engineers, we the administrator are wasting a lot of that. Lot of grains, is destroyed in the storehouses, government godams. And lot is being eaten by the rats. This is the report. I can sometime discuss about reason behind asking these questions because there is a limited time today. But the reason is, I asked only question that 2 crore people's, grain is eaten by rats alone. Then how many rats are there in Mumbai? Because one rat eats around 90 grams per day and one healthy man eats around 270. So one man is equal to 3 rats. So 6 crore rats are there. And that is why every year there is a contract of killing the rats in Mumbai. And the third question is how you perceive the difference between a well and a bore well. Well is a sustainable development model, whereas bore well is exploitation model. using anything at the faster rate of its creation. Well, a borewell is nothing but equivalent to the mining, equivalent to the excessive cutting of the jungles. Thousands and thousands of years have taken for accumulation of so much water underground, and what we are doing, we are depleting it at the faster rate. So all these are not sustainable. We try to certainly adopt sustainable methodology. I do remember this particular picture which we have seen in 1984, The Road by Cormac McCarthy. That time, fiction movies were representing that global warming is, going towards worse situation. But we have not improved our thinking. We have not made our ways till date. So this is the right time to think what is right and what is wrong. Our air is gone, polluted. Soil is polluted. Water is immensely polluted. And we can say that this is the kachra economy. We talk about waste is wealth. Because we know that we are creating a lot of waste. And that is why for recycling, we have coined this word that waste is wealth. And we have jeopardized the health of millions of people who are processing this, who are collecting this. And we have converted all the cities as a heap of garbage, all the river as the filth. We are fighting for cows, and a number of cows are dying by digesting, by eating these polymers. So you can understand the situation. Our villages was like this. Still we can find this kind of villages in remote areas. But we have moved to this one. This is well killing festival of Norway. Somewhere Denmark and Norway and Ireland, where annually there is a well killing festival. Even animal kills when he is hungry. But we human beings are the worst kind of animal, and we are killing without any reason, just for enjoyment. So you see how much mental pollution has taken place. So improve upon current situation, we have to change our attitude. We have to opt for renewable energy. We have to go for zero discharge colony, home and multi-stories building. We have to replace this oil-based economy. We have to replace this coal-based economy. A lot of researches and innovation is needed to popularize, to economize the solar, the wind, the biomass energy. We have talked a lot about zero discharge industries, but we are not talking still about the zero discharge colony, zero discharge home and zero discharge multi-story buildings. We have to move towards organic farming. You have to make our habit to plant the trees. Water harvesting should be must for every houses. All the ponds and wells has to be conserved because these are the medium of recharging the groundwater. And we have to save our rivers. How this can be done? By changing the attitude of our younger generation, by changing the attitude of our middle generation. And the senior ones should become the trainers because they have seen the adverse impact of all these bad habits. So zero discharge now, don't let your river die. If you want to save your rivers, you have to ensure that not a single drop of wastewater is emanating out of your homes. All the water from toilet has to be converted to sent back to the tap after proper treatment. So engineers has to work. Novel technology has to be created. Novel manufacturing methodology has to be adopted. Minor innovation can be done to improve upon the existing pots in our toilets. We can see in the picture that the bath machine is mounted over the cistern so as to minimize the consumption of water. Similarly, all the garbages can go back to our gardens or to our field. in terms of manure, in terms of fertilizer. And in 2003, we have created this into our lab, and the process has been commercialized by the BioBox, wherein a containerized vessel has been created for production of biogas energy using food waste. So you see the organic waste is sent to the crusher, to the buffer tank, to the main digester, and then finally biogas is generated, which can be converted to for heating or lighting for the power, and it can also run through solar and wind. So these kind of innovation should start from the laboratories and then finally go to the fields. So long back in 2003, this particular technology was created into my laboratory, and the Gaurav Kedia was the student who was involved with this. And then finally, we have also created a plant using horse dung of Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. And here you can see me together with Gaurav during the demonstration of the plant. The balloon behind me is full of biogas generated out of horse dung. So we engineers, should come out with the innovation to improve upon the existing state of technology in every sector of industry, whether it is energy or manufacturing or the process or even you talk about the electronics or digital. You should certainly try to come out with solar dryers, which will be very useful for our farmers. Well, what is happening for those seasonal crops like tomato, mirchi, etc. Sometimes when the prices go down so drastically that even it is not economical to pluck them out of the field and they throw it. So if we can process their product, they can get better return of the money. And nowadays, the solar dried vegetables and solar dried fruits are in great demand. So I urge upon our student to come out a smaller entrepreneurial opportunity to create such kind of, solar dryers and to sell or distribute in a cooperative and then get return from them as well as to the farmers. This is very famous story how small changes in our attitude and small changes in the flora and fauna can save a lot of resources. There are two figures of pond. One is surrounded by trees, another is devoid of that. And what we see, one is full of water, another is devoid of water. Reason behind that, the pond which is having good flora and fauna, dragonfly generally resides there. And these dragonflies secrete a polymeric layer on the water surface, thereby increasing the resistance to the mass transfer, thereby reducing the evaporation losses of the water. So see, nature is having all kind of innovation. We are supposed to study it closely and try to adopt the processes. And that is why today we are talking about biopolymer, not the petroleum polymer. Because biopolymers are abundantly available in the, nature, and we can mimic from them. Second one is you try to make this innovation and sustainable development as your profession. So those guys who are still searching for profession can learn from these kind of examples. Sulabh International. What a great job has been done by this fellow. Everybody was facing problem if he's feeling nature's call in a crowded market, but nobody thought of creating this community toilets. And this community toilet not only solved the pain of the population, but also solved the cleanliness problem and also created resources for energy generation. So if you are identify the societal problem, you can innovate on that and you can create solution and thereby creating an enterprise out of that. Second one is the Husk Power System. This was created by Gyanendra Pandey, 2011 batch electrical engineering. Before this company, farmers were throwing their rice husk. But Dayendra Pandey, when converted this rice husk into the electricity, this husk was being purchased at the rate of 5 rupees per kg. Now it is being used even in boilers. So you see, the right kind of technology gives opportunity not to only you, but to opportunity to the general masses. But later on, the burnt ash of the husk, we created out of that precipitated silica. And that particular silica is used in windows in houses. Earlier, it was manufactured through silica sand that was very high energy consuming process. So we solved the sustainability and even used the waste material into the product. So these are the examples we should try to adopt. I'll quote few of them. India is having 40 million metric ton of rice husk, which is equivalent to lighting 145,000 villages. 1,45,000 गांवों को हम बिजली राइस हस्क से दे सकते हैं. So this is the process. You see, paddy from the fields go to the rice mill where we get rice husk. This rice husk is sent to the gasification plant where it is converted to the electricity. Then electricity goes to the home, goes to the used for irrigation and even used for the rice mills. And the leftover ash was earlier sent to the mixing into the cement and thereby earning of the carbon credit. This was the business model of Dyanendra Pandey, the husk power system. Then we created this, converted this husk ash into the precipitated silica, and one of our student 2008 batch is a group of 3 students, Nikhar Jain, Tanmay Pandey and Abhishek Poddar, all chemical engineering student. They won DST Lockheed Martin Award of 2015. The name of the company is BridgeDot. Nowadays, they have split into 3 companies and they are working in Udaipur, Punjab and Faridabad. They are doing a lot of business and now they are into specialty chemicals and materials required for buildings, etc. So next one is the Ayman Bit. He is a civil engineering student of IT BHU 2011 batch, 2013 batch, sorry. So, RO is having the biggest problem, biggest challenge, that is 3 prongs. One is lot of wastage of water, lot of consumption of energy and depletion of minerals. So this team addressed that problem to make it sustainable, to minimize the water wastage. So earlier, if you are feeding 4 liters of water, we are getting only 1 liter of potable water. But now we have improved upon and we are getting around 3 liters of potable water out of 4 liters. So a lot of water wastage has been reduced. Power consumption has been reduced to half. So these kind of innovative technologies has to be adopted by the student. And the student should come out with this kind of ideas into their incubator. And I'm happy to note that even SBI and IT incubator is now working and students are coming with the ideas. The problem with all the incubator is that students are coming out majorly with software-based ideas and very few are coming with the core ideas, core tech ideas or manufacturing sector ideas. And that is the need of our, that we the teachers should try to promote this kind of ideas into our student. And finally, to make this world more sustainable, to make this world more livable, we should try to inculcate the spirit of social entrepreneurship. And who will do that? Not everyone, very select few of us, but we should do that. There are a few examples, and these examples can be seen in detail through net also. So I invite upon all of you who are having some interest, please try to search all these names, try to understand about this work, and try to mimic them, try to copy one of them, try to work on certain model by making your amendment. So what is Mano Chetana Vikas Kendra? Model was given by Pandit Nagarjun Sharma, Nagaraj Sharma. He started his work in Amarkantak, but nowadays number of models are there. There is a place near to Indore, there is a place near to Raipur, where people are coming together, working together, living together with an innovative model, creating minimum pollution with a lot of innovation in agriculture, Ayurveda, dairying, education, lot kind of education. Please try to understand the Nagaraj Jeevan Vidya model. Then there is a Jimmy McGilligan Center for Sustainable Development that is also near Indore in Sambadia. This center is working on green technology, especially solar and organic farming. The lady is 75-year-old nearly, still she all alone is practicing and empowering number of females, weaker section of society. Muni Seva Ashram, very closer to your place in Vadodara. You see a great campus, 1600 acre, fully equipped with solar and bioenergy. Sloka Missionaries, Bankandi Seva Sansthan, lesser known organization. Kaneri Mutt is a great example. Sant Sitchewal, the person who has alone purified and cleaned a river. Popat Rao Pawar, a boy after studying M.Com from Pune, went back to his village and convert his village in a profitable model. So there are a number of examples. Even individuals like you and me can create change. That is the today's message to all of you. Whether you are a teacher, whether you are a student, whether you are a part to make this planet a more beautiful place to habitate. So this is the example of Sant Sitchewal work, a Sikh holy man. Kali Ben, a 99 mile long, 160 kilometer long river considered sacred by the state's majority Sikh population, have been converted into the drain, the filthy drain. You can see the figure. Because 40 villages were emptying their waste into the river. But with people's participation, this is also kind of innovation. If people are participating and you are not wasting a lot of money to do something, not pleading to the government to get grant. And finally, this river converted into this beautiful place. So you see, if a single man is determined, how much changes he can create into the system. There are similar models like Sabarmati, etc., but a lot of money has been invested by the government. And this is the model where only people participation has created all this beauty. This is Jimmy McGilligan Center for Sustainable Development. This is Janak Didi, Padma Shri Janak, who married an Irish person and done extensive work in training the tribal girls and spreading the message of, hybrid energy, wind and solar. This is her less than an acre house, which is self-sustainable, pure organic, having 1 kilowatt hybrid power system. Her solar kitchen. So she is purely sustainable. Uses hardly 1 or 2 cylinder in a year or two. Majority of time, she cooks using solar energy. Sometimes she is using even the briquette made up of the paper. So that kind of literacy should be there with us, the teachers, because we are the leader of society. And there is greater responsibility lies with us. Even the solar reflectors were used to ironing the cloth. This is the Muni Seva Ashram, and I'll certainly request all of you to go there and meet Deepak Gadia Bhai Sahab, the solar man of country. You might have met him. This is the n number of creation he has done. Shirdi temple, solar thermal kitchen. Tirupati temple, solar thermal kitchen is done by him. And this is the world's highest solar cooker. 10 concentration to cook for 500 people for Indian Army in Ladakh. Even at that altitude, that lower temperature, solar cooker is working very efficiently. Earlier, the kitchen was like this. You see, number of army men were dying due to the asthma because this fumes were not going out of the kitchen. But now, that kitchen has been converted like this. You see, this kind of innovation is needed, which can change the face of the society, which can change the condition of the society, which can improve upon the livelihood of the society. So today, I'm urging upon you to think of this kind of innovative enterprises wherein you serve the society in addition to earning money for you. So there is promising entrepreneurship opportunity in manufacturing sector in these areas like digital manufacturing, smart process and systems, logistic and supply chain, health sector, food, green tech, agri startup. I can discuss upon n number of things, but I thought of limiting myself only to this particular topic to create certain awareness. If required on certain other time, we can discuss detail. So now let me finish with these quotes. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked. मांगने पर सब देता है, लेकिन बिना मांगे जो दे वही लीडर होता है. क्योंकि बिना मांगे वही दे पाएगा जो परसीव करता है कि what exactly the demand which is going to come out of the society. He can perceive what exactly the future trend is. और जो मांगने पर भी कुछ न दे तो उसके लिए तो रहीमदास कह ही गए, रहीमन वे नर मर चुके हैं जो कुछ मांगन जात और उनते पहले वे मुए जिनकी मुख रिक्सित ना आए. So this is Khalil Gibran. Omar Bandi says that this is as true in everybody's life as it is in battle. We are given one life and the decision is ours, whether to wait for circumstances to make up our mind or whether to act and in acting to leave. ऐसा नहीं है कि जो सेना में भर्ती है सिपाही जो बॉर्डर पे खड़ा है वही मर सकता है. हम और आप में से कोई कभी भी जा सकता है. हमने देखा है कलाम साहब IIM शिलांग में गए थे कन्वोकेशन में, लेकिन लौटे थे कॉफीन में. तो हमारी जिंदगी का कौन सा क्षण आखिरी होगा हमें नहीं पता, लेकिन हम अगर मेहनत से लगन से हर क्षण को बढ़िया से यूज करें तो हमें लगता है कि हम जरूर सफल होंगे. सो I plead you to rise to the level where it becomes responsibility. You can't live without this, without serving the society. You make yourself in such a way that there should always be urge upon to serving the society. There should always be urge in improving myself. And so make it your hobby and be the change which you want to see into the country, into the society, and into the nation. So, thank you.